What do you got, Coach? 3 things that all coaches need. Who would you put on your Mount Rushmore of coaches?
New York or the Aces? Definitely going with the Aces.
All right, 4th down. Who has the tougher job, coaches or officials? If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? For Texas, it's different. Welcome back to the Coaches Co-op. I am your host, Michael Prejean, but most of you probably know me as Coach P. This is the Coaches Co-op, a masterclass in athletic leadership where coaches connect, grow, and share the grind. Each week, I'm blessed with the opportunity to team up with coaches from across the country to break down the wins, the lessons, and everything in between. This week, we got a great guest. I'm teaming up with the head women's basketball coach at Clear Lake High School in Clear Lake, Texas. All right, today's guest is HBU's all-time leader in points, rebounds, and double-doubles. She took her talents across the pond, played professionally on 4 continents. She is a living legacy. Currently, she's pouring that same passion into coaching the next generation, balancing courtside leadership with life as a mom of 2. I need you to put your hands together, your real hands or your virtual hands, for Coach Shanice Steenholdt. Coach, welcome to the Co-op.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I am glad that you are here. So, Coach, here's the first thing that we do when we get on the pod. We do a segment called Talk That Talk. So I want you to tell us about the great things that are happening right now in your world, in your current program, whether it's at Lake or in the community that you are impacting. What is exciting you? What is giving you energy? Coach Shanice Steenholdt, I need you to talk that talk. Go.
Sounds good. So at Clear Lake, man, our girls are working hard. We're in that preseason grind right now, getting ready, gearing up. We've had a lot of fall ball games, getting us prepared and ready to go, kind of seeing what works well, what schemes are working, how are kids looking together, what's our chemistry looking like. So we've had some really good games that have kind of opened our eyes a bit to what the season holds for us. We've also had a lot of things and areas where we need to tweak and improve. So it's been really great to see the girls on the court working hard. We have some really strong senior leadership coming in this year. Carmen Evans, Peyton Marshall, Sayla Frankovich, they are all ready to go and they are leading their teammates. I'm talking about having kids on the football field, 6 a.m. on Fridays, running a mile, trying to hold each other accountable. So they're just all working really hard. We've taken some time this preseason to also do some community service. So working in the community to try to just show that not only are we great, exceptional athletes, but we're also willing to give back and make an impact in the community. So, just doing some really great things in Clear Lake, trying to not only build just really great quality players, but really great people at the end of the day too. So we're excited. Season is not far away, about 11 days now. So we're excited. We're ready to go.
Yeah, Christmas in October, first day of basketball
Exactly.
season. It is almost here. So, Coach, you grew up in New Mexico, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so
Roswell to be exact.
all right, Roswell, New Mexico. Tell us something really interesting about Roswell, New Mexico that most people may not know.
Sure. Yeah. So Roswell is known for a crash landing, right? That took place. Aliens apparently landed in Roswell some time ago. We're just outside of Roswell, not really in the city, but we're well known for that. It is an attraction that brings people from all over the world. I'm talking about a huge festival where people are coming from all parts to be a part of this thing. So when you're from the town and it always gets the hype, I wouldn't say it's something that I ever participated in, but people are really intrigued by it and always ask, like, have you ever seen anything? And I tell them no, but just a fun thing to kind of talk about. And some people are just amazed when I tell them I'm from there. They just can't believe it. They've never met anyone from there. So pretty cool. Lived there my whole life and moved to Houston for college. So that's what really got me away, but still a nice place to visit every now and then. Really good food too.
Okay, and this is a silly question. It has absolutely nothing to do with basketball, absolutely nothing to do with athletic
Come on.
leadership. Coach, do you believe in aliens? Do you think aliens are real?
I definitely think there's something else out there. Do I
Yeah.
think that it looks like little green Martians like what we see on TV? I have no clue. I do believe there is other life out there. I just don't know what that looks like, but I don't think we're the only ones.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I don't,
Yeah,
out of this vast universe, like because like if we're the best that's out there, oh my gosh,
correct.
the universe is in trouble if we're the best that's out there. Okay,
Big
so
trouble, yeah.
Roswell, New Mexico, the ball, the round ball is put in your hands for the first time at about 8 years old, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so we'll talk about your athletic career in just a second, but when did that passion flip to wanting to coach? When was that seed planted?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know that I had the desire initially to coach. I knew, like, I think a lot of athletes can resonate with this. Like, when you're playing, that's all you see. You don't really see life outside of playing, right? Like, I'm just going to play forever and this is what I'm going to do. So when that time came to an end for me, I had to think, like, when's the last time I was happy outside of just playing, right? Like, when is the last time? And I thought back to like all of the clinics I would run overseas when I was working with the kids, when we were working on fundamentals, when we were doing all those things, it made such an impact on them. So I knew I had to get myself involved in something that allowed me to stay around the game, to give back. Um, Now, initially, did I think I was going to be a high school coach? Not at all. I knew the time that went into that. I knew I definitely love my time at home with my kids now. I love when I can go on vacation. I love all of that. And sometimes, as a coach, we don't just get the luxury of being able to pick up and go whenever we want. Like there are a lot of things that pull us in the direction coaching. And so I don't know that I necessarily even knew 5 years ago that I wanted to be a head coach. The opportunity just kind of presented itself. I think God works in mysterious ways, and everything is in God's timing. And so, if I just tell you briefly, I had applied for an intermediate position. I wanted to be an athletic coordinator at an intermediate school. And so I hadn't even thought about coaching at the high school level. And when I went on that interview, something in it just didn't sit right with me. I just didn't feel like that was the place for me. So I declined it. They offered it to me and I declined it and thanked them. And I thought that would be it. I thought I was going to be doing what I was doing. And at the time I was counseling. Um, and then that interview, somebody saw me in that interview and was like, "Oh, you need to be at the high school level." So then a few weeks later, the lake job came open and I applied for that and got the position. And so, um, there was a reason why I turned down the first one and ended up here now. And it's one of the best decisions I've made.
I get a lot of mixed answers when I ask that question, right?
Yeah.
There are more coaches than people probably realize that initially really had no desire to be a
Yeah.
coach, right? It just
Sure.
wasn't the thing that they wanted to do. It wasn't in their plans. Um, so now that you're in the head coach seat, like what's one of the most enjoyable things about it?
Honestly, I just love seeing when things finally start to click for kids, right? When you've been putting in that work and you've been grinding and you've been running through trying to get them to see like what they're capable of. And when it finally starts to click, and once things start to click, they get real comfortable and confident. And when you see that, it's just like, man, all that hard work paid off. And so, I mean, it's the same when you think about like in a classroom when a kid finally gets a skill down and it's like, yes, like we've been working so hard to get you to get there. And it's like, once they get it, man, it's like now we can start exposing you to even more and testing you a little more. And so, I think the best thing for me is just seeing when everything starts to click, when it all starts to come together.
Okay. So um let's talk about Shanice the Hooper.
Okay.
Let's talk
Love
about
it.
Shanice the Hooper. So let's go back to, so you started playing when you were 8. So let's go back to like middle school Shanice, high
Hmm.
school Shanice. Um, what was it like? So let me say this. As a man, right, who coached young women.
Okay.
So I would always, I've coached AAU, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10, 11, 12-year-old boys, um, middle school girls, high school boys. And part of our jobs is to go to our middle schools, right? Let's go and support our middle school athletics, right? And I walk in the gym and it's like a 7th grade game, 7th grade A, 7th grade B. And the fans are just rabid, right? The parents in the gym. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Now, having raised 2 sons of my own, I know that little boys are crazy, right?
Right.
They just thrive in that type of environment. They love that. I'll never
Yes.
forget walking into the gym, right? And it's a 7th grade B game. Okay.
Yeah.
And young lady gets fouled. If she makes one of 2 free throws, they're gonna win the game. There's not gonna be any
Okay.
overtime. And the adults are stomping their feet on the bleachers and just yelling and screaming. And the first thought that went through my head was, why would a young girl want to deal with this? Like
Yeah.
boys are crazy. Like boys are
Sure.
absolutely nuts. But that was the first thought that went through my head. So middle school Shanice, high school Shanice,
Yes.
what drew you into that environment?
Yeah. Honestly, when I think back to like first ever instances in basketball, I think back to like telling my mom I wanted to play, right? Like, I want to play. There's YMCA flyers at school, like, get me going, right? And so mom was like, never played before. How do you even know how to play the sport? And I would tell her every day I practice at school, right? Every day I practice at school. So she signs me up, this is before middle school, of course, but she signs me up. I get going. She sees me on the court and she's like, hold on, like, you're actually really good, you
My
know?
my baby
So
can play.
my baby got it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So my stepdad was really big into athletics as well. Was a Played basketball, in high school and stuff. So he was like the biggest driving force in like, if you want to do this, like we're gonna do it. We're gonna work hard. You're gonna be good at it. And so I think like with the help of my dad, my mom was never the athlete. I think I thank her, Lord bless her heart, but it didn't come from her. But dad was always the big push and like, we're going outside, we're getting shots up, we're playing, we're doing all of this. And so I think when I just learned that I was actually really good at this particular thing, I love that just basketball was the thing I could do that would like shut out all the outside noise and allow me to just hone in on this one particular thing that I could be really good at. And like honestly, I was really great at it. Like I was just good. It just came second nature to me. And so I knew if I wanted to be one of the best, I had to work hard. And I'm thankful to my dad for instilling that in me. I had a really great coach in middle school as well. That male coach pushed me extremely hard, expected the best out of us. And then moving into high school, same thing. Like one of the best coaches I had in my career was my high school coach, Joe Carpenter. And he was a no nonsense guy. Like everything was all in. Nobody's one foot in, one foot out. You got to be all in and invested. Definitely instilled a lot of qualities in me as a player that I now use in my coaching. And so I think ultimately, like I just fell in love with the game. I fell in love with that aspect of like you get to just focus in on this one thing and you're really good at it and you get to whoop people every night, like just the enjoyment of beating people and getting to kind of, rub it in and people talking to you at school and hyping you up because they watch the game and stuff, just getting to enjoy that side of things just really kind of drew me into it, built that love and that passion for it.
And that is what I learned. So blessed to coach young women for like about 20 years, right? And I learned
Yeah.
that, oh, wait, boys are competitive. And these girls, these young women are just as competitive as if not
Yeah.
more. You know, you mentioned you were like, hey, I was good at this one thing. I enjoyed whooping people. You were an absolute force. Okay. So you left HBU. It's now HCU.
Mhm.
Okay. As the
Correct.
all-time leader in points, rebounds, and double doubles. Coach,
Yeah.
that's a okay. So how tall are you?
I'm without my shoes, 5'11". 5'11".
Which okay,
With shoes, give me 6 foot.
okay,
Yeah.
because I was standing next to you a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
I didn't realize Coach Steenholdt was this
Yeah.
tall. Like
That little
we're
height.
looking eye to eye. So absolute force on the court. So, but you also endured 3 ACL injuries.
Yeah.
So what is it like? Describe the part of you that's like, you know what? 1 ACL, I'm coming back. 2 ACLs, no sweat, I'm coming back. 3 ACLs, oh, third time's a charm, I'm coming back.
Coming back,
What
right?
what is it in you that's like this is nothing. I've done it before, I can do it again.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's just a lot of resilience that I hold. After the first injury, I was in high school. I was in my junior year, or entering my junior year. I just I think I was young at the time. I had never experienced like a major injury. Like I knew I was gonna have to put in a lot of work when it came to rehab and coming back. And my desire was to like get out of Roswell and go to school somewhere. Like that was the biggest driving force for me was like, I have to get myself back in position to compete and so I can get out of here. Like, I love Roswell, but small town vibes. Everyone that stays is doing the same thing that their parents were doing. And I just didn't want that to be me. I wanted more for myself, and my parents wanted more for me as well. And so I knew that basketball was my route out. And so when that first injury came, luckily I had a great surgeon. I mean, this knee has held up on me, this left one, since high school, and great surgeon, really great rehab team. My therapist that rehabbed me was like, you got to push yourself. Like, this is not going to be easy, and then you go through things like you put on weight over that time. I mean, 6, 7 months, you're not able to fully play and you're putting on a little weight. So even my high school coach at one point was like, hey, you're gonna have to put in a lot of work to get some of that weight off. So um, I think just resilience, like that desire to want to continue to compete because I knew basketball was the route out for me in high school. And so, I mean, luckily my knee responded well. I came back, I felt stronger. I had a little tad bit more weight on me that I was able to kind of utilize now in the post to kind of hold my own. And so that kind of helped me a bit. Um, and then luckily, I mean, I didn't start playing AAU until after that period. Like I had not AAU in New Mexico was not a big deal, especially not in a small town.
Yeah.
My parents had no clue about AAU. There was no exposure or anything like that. So my team happened to be playing in a local tournament, and when my AAU coach at the time that recruited me was there at the tournament and saw me and was like, "Where is this kid playing?" I wasn't playing anywhere. So, being able to play AU and finally get some exposure, HBU seen me at a tournament with my AU team, and that's kind of how they see me and offered me. But yeah, that first injury I think was just like a wake up call that I had to keep pushing and grind to get out of it. So then when the second one came in my freshman year at HBU, I was like, how could this happen again? I was doing all the right things. I was eating right. I had strength and conditioning coaches that were working with me at the collegiate level. I'm like, how does this happen? So first one was the left one. Now here's the right one, right? So now we're equal. Now we're equal. So that same mindset of I knew I had to take rehab serious. I rehabbed back in 6 months. I was back on the court, ready to go.
Wow.
Um, Very, very quick back, very healthy, very strong. I worked so hard throughout the summertime. I was running 2 miles a day. I was trying to be in the best shape I could be in. So, I mean, that held me off until my senior year. So, senior year comes, we're entering conference play. I tear my right ACL again. And I was having a great season. My team was looking great. Like we were looking to compete and be some top competitors. And so for that to happen a third time, everyone's looking at me now like, Shanice, like you need to get that knee back right and call it quits. Like, what are you doing? 3 times your knees are tore up, girl. So um, once again, that desire crept in of my plan was to go overseas now after school, after college, you know? So it's like I'm still going after this thing. Like I still had that just drive and that resilience. Like I've done it twice. Why can't I overcome it again? You know? So um rehab back again. Got my first gig in Portugal, went overseas, played for a little bit in 3 other places, and I mean, and heck, I still play now. I still play in the summertime here in Houston. So there's a women's league, a pro-am league that I play in here. So I don't know. People call me crazy. They can't believe I've had 3. Um, there's just maybe there is something crazy about me for continuing to do it, but it's just that passion, that drive, that love for the game. It's hard to let it go. Like I said, when it was like, when I was trying to decide if I wanted to go back overseas or stay home and figure out what I'm going to do, um, I struggled with that because basketball had been my identity my whole life. That's all I knew. And so I think there's still times when it's hard to give it up, but I'm glad that I get to coach it now and impact the game in other ways.
Coach, that is an awesome story. So let's sidetrack just a little bit. So you played pro ball. I want to ask you some thoughts. I'm gonna be a little messy here, okay?
Okay.
Just a tiny bit. So I'm gonna start off this softball question. So what are your thoughts on the WNBA finals?
Honestly, I wish it would have been a little more competitive. However, I'm a huge Aces fan. I love Asia Wilson. Being a post player, when you see a post player that is so dominant like that every single night and is just consistent for her team and pulls the best out of the people around her, like it's just exciting to watch. So, of course, I was going for the Aces, but I wished it would have been just a little bit more competitive. I mean, when you lose Fee, had not Fee, what is her name? Satu Sabli. When you
Satu
lose
Sabali.
her, yeah. You had a coach, I think, that got ejected at one point. Like, there's all these things that are happening that are like impacting the other team. And so they were kind of on a roller coaster. They looked a little bit off in some instances, like just defensively, weren't on the same page. Like, it just, was like a spiral effect for them. So I wish it would have been a little more competitive. I would have loved to see at least Phoenix pull in 2 and make it a little bit more interesting. But I'm an Aces fan, so I was happy.
Okay. What are your thoughts on Alyssa Thomas?
Beast. I mean, what more can I say? That girl is putting it out on the floor every night. She is not leaving anything out on the floor. Like it's all left out there. She has not an ounce left to give. I mean, triple doubles, like just being an impact, not only defensively, but scoring, assisting her teammates. Like that's the kid that you want on your team as a coach. Like that kid every night that is going to lay it out there, give every ounce that they got. Like, man, if I could get a couple of her to come on through to Clear Lake, we could use a couple of of her. But I love to watch her play. She's a fierce player, competitor.
She is definitely fierce. I think, now listen, you said it. She's the type of player you would love to have on your team. I think she's going to hurt somebody.
Sure. Correct.
Okay.
I could see that as well. I think I don't know, like I've always just loved having that. You always have like one, right? One hothead on your team, one player that you're
Yeah.
like, we got to keep it close. We got to pull her. That leash has to be
Yeah.
kind of short with this one,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Even in my time at Clear Lake, I've always had just that one that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to keep a close eye on you. Like you're locked in here with me when things are getting a little handsy or fired up. Like you got to have your ways to reel them back in. Um, I think like with her fierceness and her intensity, like she's got to learn how, like when to use that, when to turn it on, when to turn it off, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't need to get to the point where you're injuring people, but there has to be a balance, I guess.
Yeah, definitely has to be a balance. And I am a fan of what she is able to do, but I am not a fan of hers individually. Like, I am just not an
Sure.
Alyssa Thomas fan. I think she is an
Sure.
outstanding player. But my goodness, oh, she is so physical. And again,
Yeah.
you love to have one of those on your team, because like the other
True.
coach is yelling like, that kid's gonna hurt somebody, and you're like, no, she's not. And then you kind of pull her aside and be like, hey, I need you
Yeah.
to
Hey,
tamp down
let's
just a little bit, just
right.
a little
Let's
bit.
bring it down a couple of notches. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you play professionally overseas, 4 different continents. Were you ever homesick?
Oh, yes, all the time. I am a big family person. My family spends holidays together. We are always around each other anytime we can. We're probably a little too close. My mom, my sister, and I, we are on FaceTime every day. So having to be away from them was definitely very challenging. That was probably one of the hardest parts about being overseas, is because ultimately you're there by yourself. You don't, you have, if you're lucky enough, you play on a team that maybe has a few more Americans on the team that can kind of relate to you. You can have conversations with in your language. But there is a lot of, that homesickness, that missing of your people and just your everyday life here. It's just different over there, and so I definitely had my moments, especially around the holidays when everyone's calling and they're all together eating food and I'm like sitting in my room like sulking, but
Yeah.
um that was just kind of the sacrifice that I had to take in order to live out my dream.
So, given the opportunity to do it all over again, would you?
Overseas.
Yes.
For sure. Yes.
Okay.
Although I had some instances, I won't go into too much detail, but with teams, there are things that always come up, um, corrupt government, and the government funds our team, and now we're not getting paid
Mhm.
on time. There are a lot of those types of stories that you'll hear people from overseas talk about, and things you have to deal with over there. A lot of people only know about the highlighted stuff. Like, we're getting to travel, we're getting to see all these beautiful parts of the world, but there are other things that you're having to deal with as well. But I think those things, once again, that just feeds into that resilience, that ability to adapt and overcome. And, I'm thankful for that. I think everything ends up how it's supposed to be. And so those experiences helped me now in the role that I hold as the head coach at Clear Lake. And so I'm thankful for them. I would do it over again if I had to. And not that I would want to go play overseas again. Right now, currently, but if I had to do it all over again, I definitely would.
Okay. So, I think I was able to coach against you maybe once or twice. So, reading your bio, knowing your story, now talking to you, I know that there's this fierce competitor in there, but
Yeah.
on the sideline, you are here,
Hmm.
very
Yeah.
steady, very calm, very hard to read. Because as a coach, I always peek at the other coach to just kind of see, where they are, what's going on, what's their mental state like at this time. But you are
Yeah.
very, very calm.
Yeah.
People who don't know your story probably have no idea that you're probably trying to really just beat them down.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I like to say that I am the worst sore loser. So you may not see it. I'll never let anybody I'm playing against on the court against. You're never going to see that. You will never see that emotion that I am upset. Now, referees might see it every now and then, but um, you know, my opponent, I try to. No, I think it's just me. That's just who I am. Even on the court, people would always ask me, like, you don't show any emotion. Like, you're not getting fired up and yelling and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm just here to do a job. Like, I want to do it. I want to do it well. And my performance speaks for itself, like always. And so I think I've just always had that mentality. Like, I've given now as a coach, I've given my kids everything I can to help them be successful. Now we got to execute and do that. And so I don't know. I'm not super emotional. I try to be the level-headed one because I know at times it can be heated with players and they don't
Mhm.
need somebody that's also heightened up when they're trying to balance their emotions and all the things that come with playing. So I try to be level-headed as much as I can. You may not get that side every time, but for the most part, that's just me.
Okay, so that's actually good. That's a very, very good trait. So it's a good trait for a mentor to have. So now
Mm.
you, as a head coach, right, you sit in that mentorship chair, right? Because not only are there kids, but there are assistant coaches, there are other head coaches who may look to you for advice and feedback. So who mentors you?
Yeah. So I am very close with Toya Peterson, that is at Dickinson. She is what I'd consider my mentor. She kind of pulled me in when I first got to Lake and was like the only person that said, "Hey, if you need anything, let me know, reach out to me." So that was like the first helping hand, I'd say, and somebody that even out to this day that I'll go to. And I mean, we're in the same district, but she is as helpful as she can be. You know, I will call her and say, "Hey, we did this. It's not working. Like, how do I work through this conflict with the parent or whatever?" You know, so if I need any advice, she's always such a good sounding board to have. And she you know, we come to each other, we bounce ideas off of each other. And so I think that's the best part about being a mentor is not only are you giving that advice, but you're also willing to listen and receive advice from other people too. So she's really great. I really, really appreciate her, and I've learned a lot from her already.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, Toya's good. Toya's good. She's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
She's
She's
a
very funny.
comedian.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
If she had another job, it would be a comedian. That would be her second career.
so and so she thinks that she would be an event planner if she wasn't a coach. So you might need to put that bug in her ear that, hey, you can be an
Hey,
event
maybe
planning
she could,
comedian
yeah. Correct. She can plan the event, and then she can also entertain at the
and
event,
then
for sure.
do a set at the event. All right, so let's talk about this before I have to do my commercial. So
Okay.
you're a mom of two.
Yes.
That's not something that we see very often. So there are two things that I advocate for, and that's one, we need more women's coaches, right? And this is me as a man who was coaching on the women's side forever, right? But we need more women's
Yeah.
coaches, and then we have to make, I don't know the correct terminology, the correct way to say it, but we have to make space for women to continue to be mothers and
Yeah.
coaches. So
Right.
talk about the experience of being a mom and a coach. What is that like?
Yeah, the best thing I can use to describe it is it's a balancing act, right? Like I have to be not only my best version for my kids on my team that I coach, but also for my kids at home. And so I think just continuing to balance and find time for everything. And it feels like some days there is not enough time. But it's just, I think once again, like it plays into that resilience, that the quality that I hold where I'm able to overcome whatever comes my way. Um, my kids, they're really young right now, so they still require a lot of my, attention. And luckily, I coach a sport where they're able to be in the gym. My kids are going to be gym rats. Like they are in the gym, they are dribbling basketballs, they are breaking us out in the huddle. Like they are super involved. And so it's really fun for them. So even when we're in practice and mine are running around or doing whatever, like they're still there. They're seeing mama. So they're not missing out completely. But it is a challenge sometimes to balance it all. My family is very supportive, so I'm extremely grateful for my kid's dad, who, he takes a lot of time to be with them during the season because we have late nights, and so I don't always get those to tuck them in at night and all of that stuff. But he steps up for sure, and so I'm very grateful for the support system that I have because I would not be able to do it on my own for sure. But just being able to balance it all, give my kids all the love I can, and give my program all the love it needs too. It's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah, so hats off to you, right? Not only
Thank
you,
you.
but to all coaches who are moms as well, because just the way society still tends to operate, the lion's share of parenting duties sometimes still fall on moms. So hats off to you, Coach Steenholdt.
Thank you.
And then your kids do come in with about 40 or 50 built-in babysitters when they're in the gym. So
Correct. which I am so thankful for because, our managers are having them run the clock and keeping up with them and stuff. So super, super grateful that we got such a strong like support, at Lake. It's great.
Cool, cool. All right, let me do my little commercial here and then we'll get back to it in just a second. We'll get back to the conversation in a second, but here at the Coaches Co-op, we're all about building championship level systems on and off the court. This episode is brought to you by The Path for Coaches, because iron sharpens iron and real growth happens when coaches support coaches. If you're looking to level up your team culture, fine-tune your playbook, or just stay motivated through the grind, check out The Path for Coaches. You can find The Path for Coaches at Amazon.com, or you can send me a direct message on IG at podcast_with_Prejean. Unlock the power of mentoring. Discover ways to be a good mentor and find good mentors with The Path for Coaches, Volume 1, Mentoring. All right, Coach. What's the hardest thing about the job that nobody really knows?
Honestly, I think it's just the time, right? It's extremely time consuming. It's not a job that, especially when you're in season, that you can close that laptop on a Friday and not look at it again until Sunday night, it's just nonstop. It's all the time. I try my best to, separate home life and coaching life. But in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about like, okay, we got to prep for this. We got a game plan for this team. Man, we should have done this in practice today. Like it's a constant like wheel that's revolving with all these things that need to take place. So I'd say the hardest thing is just the time. It's very, very time consuming. But I love the game so much. Like I've been around it for long enough to know like you just have to be able to balance and prioritize. And I think that's why, I am here. I can do all of that. So
Okay. Okay. All right. So what's the easiest thing about the job that nobody really knows?
yeah, honestly, I think the easiest thing for me personally has just been like establishing relationships within my program, like not only with my kids, like my team, but also with like parents, like understanding the importance of being like transparent with parents and really communicating and keeping them in the loop and building those relationships. Like um, I just really take that time to do that, and I've found that my parents are more supportive. Um, it's really, I don't want to jinx myself here, but it's really few that have come with any types of major issues and things like that. Because, if there is a problem, like they can reach out to me and they know it's going to get addressed. Like they know I'm going to communicate very, very well. So I think just that relationship building has been really easy. I'm very, very thankful for my parents in my program and for my kids just leeching on to everything I've thrown their way and just for being so supportive.
Okay. So who has the harder job, coaches or officials?
Man. So I would have to say, if we're just talking about in the moment, right? It's going to be officials, but I only say that because in the moment when they're doing their job and they're in a game, they're getting everything. They're getting called this and that. They're getting booed. They're getting all the things in that moment. Very, very challenging, right, to deal with. But at the end of the night, they get to go home, pack, get their little suitcase, going out to the car, and they don't got to deal with any more of that, right? Until the next game. Coaches, on the other hand, I'd say overall, I think our role is a little bit more challenging because not only are we like on the front line, dealing with, people are seeing what we're doing right in that moment. Our court is exposed; they can see us. Some of them can hear what's being said in our huddle. Like we are right there on the front line. And we don't get to go home at the end of the night and not hear from a parent that is not happy about playing time or that is upset about X, Y, and Z. We got to face that. So it doesn't end for us, right? Like it doesn't just at the end of the night, boom, that's it. We forget about the game, we move on. Like there are going to be some parents that don't forget about that game and that are going to come back and let you know. So I think there's a lot that we have to deal with and face when we look at the long term. look at it long-term wise, but I would say in the moment, for sure, officiating is very, very challenging. There's never been a point in my life that I've ever said that I want to be an official, ever, ever. So, you know, I think officiating has its hard things, but I think coaching overall would be very, very challenging.
I'm about 50-50 on that question, I think. Right. So I
I
think
got you. Yeah.
half the people I have spoken to have said coaches, about half have said officials. All right. So, Coach Steenholdt, if you could be anything other than a coach. Now, you mentioned like basketball, you have been immersed in the game since the age of 8. But if you could be anything other than a
Yeah.
coach, what would you be?
So growing up, I always told my mom I wanted to be a pediatrician. I always said that I want to be a doctor that helps kids. When I got a little older and realized how much schooling went into that, I was like, that's not for me. But there's always been that like desire to be in the medical field. So I would definitely be a nurse. It's still a way to impact and give back. And I've had some great nurses that, helped with my labor and delivery with my kids. And I would just love to be able to make an impact in that setting. And so definitely a nurse.
Okay. Okay. Just giving back, continuing to give back. Okay. Good stuff. All right, coach, play a game with me.
Okay.
All right. So we'll go a couple of rounds of this. Every week I give it a new game, a new name. I give the game a new name. So this week, let's call it Quick Hitters with Coach Steenholdt.
All right.
How about that? All right.
That sounds great.
So we're going to start with either or. We're going to start with either or. Okay.
Okay.
Now remember, these are quick hitters. Here we go. Texas high school basketball or European professional basketball atmosphere.
European.
Practice or game day.
Game day.
Hard practice or light practice.
Hard practice.
Europe or New Mexico.
Europe.
Losing
Europe.
sleep during the season or sleeping soundly.
Sleeping soundly.
Okay. Would you rather have a veteran team or a young and hungry team?
Young and hungry.
Would you rather draw up plays or motivate players in the locker room?
Motivate players in the locker room.
Okay. Early morning workouts or late night film session?
Early morning workouts.
Okay. Coach the best athlete with a sometimey attitude or an average athlete with an incredible work ethic?
Average athlete.
Okay. Winning with defense or winning with offense?
Winning with defense.
All right. Last question for this round. Pre-game meal. Do you want pasta or chicken?
Definitely pasta.
Okay. All right. So that was the first round of quick hitters with Coach Steenholdt. All right. Round 2 right here, Coach. Round 2. These questions are going to be agree or disagree. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
All right. The ref should always address coaches before players when there's an issue.
Agree.
The talent gap between high school and college women's basketball is getting wider.
Disagree.
Social media is more of a distraction than a tool for young athletes.
Agree.
A great coach is made, not born.
Agree.
It's harder to be a head coach than to be a pro player.
Disagree.
Good stuff. The best coaches are former players.
Agree.
Culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Agree.
You win with people, not just talent.
Agree.
Okay. Two more questions. Two more questions. International playing experience makes you a better coach.
Disagree.
Okay. And wins and losses matter less than player development.
Agree.
Okay. All right, coach. Thank you for playing that little game with me. That was quick hitters with Coach Steenholdt. I probably should try to figure out a name and just stick to it, but I kind of like
Hey,
that I
it's
give it a
fun.
new name every episode. All right, coach. So
Yeah.
this brings us to crunch time. You know, crunch time is the last 5 minutes. So we're down to the last 5 minutes in the episode. Crunch time will go like this. It will go 3, 2, 1, 3 in the key. 3 things all athletic professionals or coaches need. Then we'll go 2 shots, 2 of the most foul or difficult things you've experienced as a coach. And then we'll wrap it up with and 1. And that can be one thing, anything that you would like to share before we exit. So we're going to start off here with 3 in the key. Coach Steenholdt, what do you have for 3 in the key?
So definitely, I think 3 things that coaches need are support being number 1. You got to have a strong support system. Like this job is too hard to try to do on your own, and I don't think anybody that thinks that is going to be very successful. Like you have to have a backing. You have to have people in your corner when your back is against the wall. Like who's there with you. So ensuring that you have a strong team in your corner is super important. I also think that it's extremely important for coaches to have boundaries set or their non-negotiables that they set. This has to be established from day one. This can't be something that, you think about it and you're like, man, I should have pushed this out, and you try to push it out later. Like these non-negotiables are the things that you are willing to accept and allow, and the things that you're not. And so I think in the beginning, when coaches are establishing these things, they sound like rules. It's all the you need to do this. This is how we do it here. We're not doing this. Like it sounds like rules because it's coming from the coach, right? And then I think eventually those rules start to just become the standard because they're more player driven now. Everyone knows the expectations, they know what's been set, what's the non negotiables. And so they start to hold themselves accountable and each other. And so that's where you get those standards and that culture of this is just who we are and this is how it's done. And so that's very, very important, those boundaries and non-negotiables. And then the last thing I'd say is just the desire to grow. I never claim to have everything figured out ever. I'm constantly looking for clinics to attend, coaches to learn from, brains to pick. Like I want to know it all. So I think it's important that we just continue to find ways to grow because if we want our kids to get better, we also got to improve ourselves.
That's good stuff right there. 3 in the key from Coach Steenholdt. Every coach or athletic professional needs support. Make sure you set those boundaries because those boundaries become standards and a desire to continue to grow. All right, coach, this brings us to 2 shots. 2 of the most foul experiences you've had as a coach. What do you have for us?
So the first one I'd say, I won't bring up any names or specific places we played, but we had a ref at one point that used the opportunity to, I'd say it was scolding a player. One of my kids, this kid had taken 2 really hard hits, right? Got fouled twice. Like I'm talking about knocked to the ground, like really hard. So the first time, fine, she jumped up, wiped it off, whatever. Second time happened, it's the same kid fouled her. She fell really hard. The girl on the opposing team that knocked her down tried to help her up, and my kid did not accept the hand and hopped up herself. So the referee saw that and took it upon himself to, he was at the bottom of the free throw line at the time, but to walk up to my kid as she's getting ready to shoot free throws, point in her face and tell her, you needed to accept her hand. That's not how you play, like scolding, right? Like finger in face. And so that was extremely foul to me because I felt like that was an intimidation tactic, right? Like to get like go off of one of your questions you asked. I think that refs, if it's a major issue, like come talk to the coach about it. Let the coach know like what took place, what you saw, so that I can address that with my kid. Because at the end of the day, they don't know our kids. They don't know how they respond. They don't know if this kid that they're in the face scolding is gonna like shut down and that's it for the game. and now I'm down a player because, they can't handle that. And so I think it would have been more appropriate for the referee to address me. So we had some words, it got a little crazy, but yeah, that was probably super foul, in my opinion. And then the other instance, not really foul, but just annoying. My first year as a head coach at Lake, I had several instances where referees would where they come over to tell coaches, hey, good luck, coach, all that stuff before the game. And they would skip past me and go to my assistant. And I felt like I was being overlooked a bit. And so then when they would realize it was me, that was the head coach, they'd come back to me like, oh, sorry, coach, like you just look so young to be a head coach. So there was like that part of me that was kind of just felt a little disrespected in a sense, but they just had to learn me and learn that I'm standing on business and I'm here to make a difference. And so, yeah, that was probably two instances that I'd consider to be foul.
Stand on business, coach.
Period. What do these kids say? Period.
There it is. You got to clock it.
Oh, yeah.
Why do I know that? Why do I know that?
Exactly.
All right. Coaching young women for 20 years, you learn all kind of stuff. All right, coach. Yeah. This brings us to one thing. This can be anything that you would like to share before we get out of here. So Coach Steenholdt, what do you have for and one?
Yeah, so just some advice for, in particular to coaches that are just starting out. There are going to be times that try you, like there are going to be times that test you, and you have to ride the wave. Like everything is not going to be perfect. You're not going to make everyone happy. There's always going to be somebody that has an opinion about what you're doing, whether it's good or bad. And if you know that what you're doing is with good intention, you've been clear with your expectations, like you're working on building those relationships and creating a program that embodies hard work and all of the things that you value, nobody can question you. And so I always say, we have those memories of those really bad coaches that we've had, and we have those memories of really good coaches that we have. And so you got to ask yourself, like, what memory do you want to be for your players? And so that's my biggest advice. Just continue to ride the wave. The good times will come. There will be bad times, but the love and the reward that comes from seeing your players blossom and develop is, it overrides everything. So ride that wave.
You heard Coach Steenholdt. Ride the wave. Coach, this has been outstanding. Thank you so much for your time today. I am looking for my outro because I don't memorize anything that I do on this podcast, and you know that I can't find it. So here's what we're going to do. Thank you to today's guest, Coach Shanice Steenholdt, for sharing her journey and her wisdom. If you were energized or enlightened by anything that you heard or saw on today's podcast, then we have done our job. We're getting ready to get out of here. I'm Coach P for Coach Steenholdt. Remember, coaches do what most people can't, and stay ready, and you don't have to get ready. And we'll see y'all next time. Once again, for Coach Steenholdt, I'm Coach P. Y'all be easy.